Traditional baseball development is obsolete and dead. Velocity isn't just how fast a baseball travels, it's mindset and habits training, learning strategies, success routines, and so much more. I created this podcast for parents of middle school and high school baseball players. Baseball Velocity School. Baseball Velocity School.
When we're talking about colleges and good fits, a lot of players sometimes think they're in the vacuum where they can just go play well somewhere and a coach will see them and then that's kind of the done deal. The reality is there is a lot more to it. And so a few years ago, I had a coach friend of mine who coaches at a pretty big university. He called me and he said, "Hey, coach, we had known each other for years." He's like, "Hey, listen, I got to ask you about this guy." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I've had him for about a year and a half. Let's kind of talk." And so we were talking. And the first thing he asked me, and of course, I'm sure he had done the research and he knew a lot about what he was looking for. But the first thing he asked me, he said, "Look, I know you've told me so much about kind of how you guys do stuff with all the remote workouts, all the home assignments, the mental game stuff. You guys have a pretty kind of rigid system with accountability. Tell me about that. How did he do? Was he somebody you had to chase after? Did he get all the stuff done? Share with me." And I had already known because this player was actually one of our best. I think over the course of 16 weeks, he hadn't been late on one piece of thing that was required of him, really committed. So that was easy. But there are so many players sometimes that's not the case. And the reason this coach and why he's brilliant and the reason he asked me this question and he knew to ask me this question is because the reality is the players that can't do that kind of stuff and can't have the accountability and can't actually commit and do things, that pattern is going to show up again and again and again. And so it's very easy to sniff that out because humans are creatures of pattern. And what you do in one place, a lot of times you do everywhere. And so it's the same thing with one of our coaches asked the other day, we were talking about how we hire. And I actually was looking at all our player boards, we were talking about how do we hire our coaches? What's the process? Like, what do I look for when we get 1 million applications from people from everywhere? Like how do you decide like even who to talk to? And I was looking right at our player board. We had all our players who had accomplished, big feats in our program. And I was looking through, and although we weren't looking to hire any of those guys, some of them have been graduated, but I started pointing guys out, and they knew some of the players had been kind of recent that had graduated, and I said, "Would you hire that guy? What about this guy?" And all the thoughts of how they interacted on a daily basis with our communication, with the assignments, with the work ethic, was what they were thinking about. And they were dead right. You can actually look at our board and figure out who you would hire when they're 22, 23, 25 years old because of all the things that they showed, patterns of correct or patterns of kind of laziness or disinterest or just kind of procrastination. So anyway, really important for your son to factor all those things in. A lot of times with high school coaches, players will dismiss that. "Oh, it's my select ball coach is great," but high school coach gets to really interact and understand the whole dynamic. And they have a lot to speak about. That's not just baseball. And it's how does he go to class? Did I get emails from the teachers? Did he show up to practice every day before practice started? Or was he late? Did he forget his uniform? Did he wear the wrong uniforms? So much goes there. And there is a lot of weight there because the coaches at schools will really dig into the athletic ability, the playing ability, all that kind of great stuff. But the other stuff is just one phone call away to somebody who's watched their patterns for years. Talk to you later.
If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to share it with a friend. And don't forget to go to jasonalamo.com to learn all about our middle school and high school baseball mentorship and training program. jasonalamo.com. Check it out.